In the heart of an ancient sun-scorched land, where the earth was cracked and thirsty, life was a relentless cycle of survival. The air, thick with the golden dust of the savanna, vibrated with the thunder of 1,000 hooves. A great herd of Cape buffalo, a moving mountain range of muscle and horn, stampeded across the plain, their powerful bodies a testament to the raw, untamed energy of this primordial world. For the small band of early humans who called this land home, the herd was both a source of terror and the promise of life itself. Two young hunters, their skin baked dark by the relentless sun and their bodies lean and wiry from a life of constant motion, broke away from the scrubby acacia trees. They moved with a fluid grace, their bare feet pounding a silent, urgent rhythm against the hard-packed earth. They were not chasing the main herd. That would be suicide. Their eyes, sharp and intelligent, were locked on the stragglers, the old, the young, the momentarily weak. This was the first lesson of survival. Know your limits and exploit the weaknesses of others. Their chase was a dance of endurance, a testament to the unique adaptation that would one day allow their kind to dominate the planet. The ability to outlast their prey, to run not with the explosive speed of a cheetah, but with the dogged persistence of a marathon runner. As they tracked the herd, their path led them across a vast, open expanse. In the distance, a different drama was unfolding. Another group of hunters, rivals from a neighboring territory, had already made a kill. They stood over the carcass of a fallen buffalo, their postures a mixture of triumph and aggressive vigilance. The two young hunters slowed, their adrenaline-fueled chase giving way to cautious observation. They were joined by others from their clan, emerging silently from the tall grass, their spears held ready. The air grew thick with unspoken tension. In a world of scarcity, a kill was a treasure beyond measure, and the scent of blood was an invitation to conflict. What followed was not a battle of strategy or weapons, but a raw, visceral explosion of primal dominance. The two groups collided in a swirling cloud of dust and fury. It was a chaotic brawl, a storm of fists, kicks, and guttural roars. There was no art to it, only the brutal physics of survival. Bodies slammed into one another with sickening thuds, the dust rising to coat their sweat-streaked skin. One of the hunters, the leader of the approaching clan, was a specimen of raw power. He moved through the fray like a force of nature, his blows landing with the weight of a seasoned warrior. He fought not for glory, but for the sustenance of his people, for the promise of roasted meat that would quell the gnawing hunger in their bellies. The fight was swift and decisive. The rival clan, outnumbered and outmatched, scattered like birds, leaving the victors to stand, chests heaving over their hard-won prize. But this was not their kill to keep. Their own families were waiting. Leaving the scavenged meal, they began the long walk back, their silhouettes stark against the blinding sun. They walked with a purpose, a silent understanding passing between them. They were a unit, a family bound by the shared hardships of their existence. Their journey led them back to their own hunting grounds, where a herd of buffalo grazed peacefully, oblivious to the drama that had just transpired. The hunters regrouped, their numbers swelling as more of the clan joined them. There was no spoken plan, no intricate strategy laid out in words. Instead, they communicated through a language of glances, gestures, and a shared, instinctual understanding honed over countless generations. The leader, his eyes scanning the herd, pointed towards a specific animal on the fringe, a large bull, powerful yet isolated. His gesture was all that was needed. The hunters fanned out, their movements economical and precise, becoming one with the tall, dry grass. With a shared signal, a low call that mimicked a bird, the hunt began again. This time, it was their own. They rose from the grass as one and sprinted towards the herd. The buffalo, startled, broke into a panicked run, their hooves once again churning the earth into a blinding haze. The hunters did not try to outrun them. They ran alongside, a pack of relentless predators, their lean bodies built for this very purpose. They worked together, flanking the herd, driving it, looking for the moment to separate their chosen target. They ran for what felt like an eternity, the sun beating down on their backs, their lungs burning, every muscle screaming in protest. But they did not stop. This was the essence of their advantage, the unwavering will to push beyond the limits of exhaustion. Finally, they managed to cut the bull from the safety of the herd. Now it was a battle of wills. The bull, confused and enraged, charged, its massive horns a deadly threat. But the hunters were agile. They dodged and weaved, their spears held at the ready. With a coordinated surge, they closed in. Spears flew through the dusty air, not with the aim of an instant kill, but to wound, to weaken, to bleed the great beast of its strength. One spear found its mark, then another. The bull roared in pain and fury, but its powerful strides began to falter. Slowly, agonizingly, it sank to its knees, and then, with a final shuddering sigh, it collapsed. A wave of triumphant shouts erupted from the hunters. It was a raw, primal sound of victory and relief. Soon, the rest of the tribe arrived, women, children, and elders, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Seeing the fallen beast, their expressions transformed into joy. They swarmed the carcass, their earlier conflicts forgotten in this moment of communal success. This was more than just food. It was security. It was warmth for the coming nights and strength for the days ahead. They celebrated with a ritualistic dance, their bodies moving in a rhythm as old as the land itself. A dance of thanks to the spirits of the hunt and a celebration of their own tenacity. The journey home was arduous. The buffalo was a massive weight, a burden that tested the limits of their collective strength. They fashioned makeshift slings from hides and branches, and with grunts of exertion, hoisted the animal onto their shoulders. They walked in a slow, steady procession, a line of humanity etched against the vast, indifferent landscape. They were a portrait of cooperation, each individual bearing a part of the load, their survival dependent on this shared effort. Their camp was nestled by a meandering river, a ribbon of life in the arid plains. Here, the world was different. Underwater, schools of fish darted through the clear, cool water, their scales shimmering in the dappled sunlight. A large, prehistoric bird, a creature from a lost world, landed gracefully by the water's edge, its sharp eyes scanning for prey. This was their oasis. One of the hunters, his task of carrying the kill complete, turned his attention to another vital element of their survival: fire. He knelt by a fallen log, his movements patient and practiced. He used a hand drill, a simple stick spun rapidly between his palms, its tip boring into a small notch in the log. For long moments, there was only the sound of friction and his own steady breathing. Then, a wisp of smoke, delicate and fragile, curled upwards. He gently blew on the nascent ember, coaxing it, nurturing it. A tiny flame flickered to life, a spark of magic in the fading light. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the tribe gathered around the crackling fire. The hunters, their bodies still aching from the day's exertion, skillfully butchered the buffalo, their stone tools sharp and efficient. They skewered chunks of rich red meat onto sticks and roasted them over the open flames. The aroma of cooking meat filled the air, a scent of comfort and deep satisfaction. The leader took the first piece of cooked meat, not for himself, but to share with his partner and the rest of the tribe. This simple act was the foundation of their society. The strong provide, and the community shares. They ate with a hunger that was both physical and profound, the savory juices running down their chins. As the meal progressed, the tension of the day melted away, replaced by a sense of contentment and camaraderie. Laughter echoed through the camp, a sound that was surprisingly human, surprisingly modern. They were more than just survivors. They were a family, finding joy in the simple, profound act of sharing a meal together under the vast, star-dusted African sky. As night fell, the savannah grew quiet, the only sounds being the crackle of the fire and the gentle murmur of the river, the rhythm of a life hard won, a life lived in harmony with the ancient, unforgiving, and beautiful world they call home.